So this will be part 10 of our user email verification in Spring Boot. And in this part, we will be actually writing the function to send an email to the user. We are going to create some custom exceptions, and then we're also going to write the method to send registration email to the user after the user has been registered. Now, if you take a look at the current user service, we have this method here, save. So this method creates the user and saves the user to the database. Nothing about email. So let's go ahead to get started. These are the steps we are going to follow. So this is part 10. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create some custom exceptions. I'm going to create an exception package. So we need some exceptions in case of the user doesn't exist, or email is invalid, or token is invalid. So we need some custom exceptions. So I'm going to create a package called exception. And inside I need invalid token exception. I need 3 exceptions. So one of them will be invalid token exception. And I will also need unknown identifier exception. I'll also need user already exists exception. They are going to extend this superclass exception. Okay, so we have all our exceptions created. And I want us to move to the next part, step 2. We are going to update the repository to include. So we need find by email. So let's create the find by email method. User finds by email. Okay, so let's now go to the service and let's now write the methods, the actual methods that we need. So this is the service. One thing you want to notice immediately is that we have the password encoder, which is a bcrypt password encoder. So there are different types of encoder out there, but I'm using bcrypt password encoder. So we need a function to check if the user already exists. So let's write that function. So what we do here, we're going to call our find by email method. So we are going to return user repository dot find by email. So at this point, it's asking us to simplify. So I'm going to simplify, and this is what it gives us. Now the next thing we want to do is to change the save method to register. And we now want to write the signed registration confirmation email. So this is where we are going to write a bit of code. So the function is going to create an email context, because we actually talked about created the account verification context in the previous class. We did it in the previous classes, if I can remember. Right here in step 5, we did it in step 5. So we are going to now use this context to send an email. So I'm going to create send registration confirmation email. And it's going to take the user object. So it's going to send it to the user. So here, the first thing we want to do is we want to create a secure token. Secure token is equal to secure token service. So we need to wire in the secure token service at auto-wired private secure token service, and then we are going to use this service to create secure token service of create token, and we are going to provide create token, not save token, create token, so it doesn't take any parameter. We are going to set the user of this token, set user. We've created our token and we've saved it. Now we want to create the email context. So it's going to be account verification email context. Context is equal to new account verification email context. So this is what we are going to use to send the email. So the context. So once you initialize, you provide the user, and then we want to set the token as well. And the next thing we want to do, we want to then build the verification. We build the verification URL context and we also should provide the token as well. So now this is always going to get. So we need to provide the base URL. Let's create the base URL. So it's going to be private base URL. We're going to get the value from the properties file. So if you go to the properties file, we should be able to find the value of the base URL. So this is it, site.base.url.https. So I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to use it here. So this should be $ not at, I think. We want to now send this email. So we are going to wire in this email service. So private email service, and we are going to auto wire it. Okay, so let's see, what are we missing here? Yeah, we need to, I would like to enclose in a try catch. So this is what we just did. Let's now write this, go to the next one, the register method, which we actually renamed from save to register. It should first check if the user exists, right? So we are going to check if the user exists and save the user and then call the send registration email. So after saving the user, we are going to send registration email to the user. So but we are going to first check if the user exists. So I'm going to say, so if the user does not exist, we are going to throw an exception. So we now go to the controller methods to update the controller methods to make the add new method to call this method, to call the register method. Okay, so let's go to the user controller and we are going to now update this method. Right now it's just giving us this error, so I'm going to just say register and we are going to change this method to user add new. But there's something we need to also update here. Take note that once a user is registered and it's not been confirmed, you want to tell him to check his email. So what we are going to do here, we are going to, after telling him to check his email, we want to return a registration successful page. So we are going to return here to a registration successful page. We are going to send a success message to the model, the UI using the model, and then we are going to add an attribute into the model. So this is going to be model instead of redirect. So it's going to be model.add attributes. Add attributes is going to be message. You have successfully registered and you can now check your email. So this is basically it. We've actually completed part 10 and here we have created the core of this user email verification is what we just did. So in the next part we are now going to actually create the templates and then actually test that an email has been sent to the user when a new user registers. So forget about, this step 11, we are going to do it, but before then we are going to do a test. So let's see in the next part.